Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tevora Talks. I'm your host, Cash, joined as always by my co-host and partner in cybercrime, Matt Mosley. How you doing? Happy Wednesday. It is October, man. We made it to October.
Yeah, screaming through October.
Screaming
Going by
through.
fast.
It's like mid-month. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
You
don't
know
know
what
if
I
I'm ready to deal with 2021 yet. I'm still trying to deal with 2020.
yeah, I mean 2022, man. It's right around the corner. We definitely lost a year somewhere.
For
It
sure.
happened,
Yeah.
but it didn't happen. I don't know.
Yeah. I keep saying last year, and I mean like 2019.
Yeah, totally. I think so. But you know what I like about October is what I was thinking is interesting also. How like the second it turns from summer into fall, that day, like the wind kicks in, the entire like a shift in weather happens instantly. I mean,
Yeah.
at least in Cali. Isn't that
Yeah.
strange?
Here, I think it was like a week, and we started seeing the leaves just completely turn from the colors.
Yeah, it's crazy. Here it's like always gets like that. You get little, dry weather, the wind kicks in, and it's like the leaves are rustling around, right? You get the whole
Yeah.
fall effect, but it's a nice
Halloween
season.
starting, scary
Halloween
movies,
starting. That's right. Scary movies
Scream.
are out. Scream. No, what's the new one? It's the what is the Halloween remake or
Yeah.
whatever it is?
Mike
Mike
Myers.
Myers. Yep, Mike Myers. He's the man. But speaking of movies, I just watched a little bit of a movie that you recommended, and I think it's kind of be the topic of our discussion today. You said it has like 6 names, but I found it under Takedown.
Yeah. Or Track
That's
Down.
Trackdown. Why does it?
Or Hackers
What,
2.
what are they all the same title for the movie? What is the story there?
Yeah. So first off, I I I recommended it, but not as like an award-winning great film. It's a movie worth watching if you like hacker stuff, for sure. And so I thought maybe you'd be interested in it. But it is
Yeah, no, it's pretty
not
funny.
a great movie by any
No, it
stretch
is.
of the
It is pretty
imagination.
entertaining. You are right. If you're like on the hacker side of it, like everything's like, oh, that's cool. That's fun. I like how he did that. Oh, that was cool. So
Yeah.
it's a good recommendation. But when I asked you, I'm like, is it worth $3.99? You're like, no.
No. Like if you can find it streaming, go for it. Like I heard it was on Netflix, but it might be off now. But yeah, the movie is called Trackdown and also known as Takedown outside the United States. And I think even Hackers 2 at one point, which was how I watched it 20 something years ago. But it's all about Kevin Mitnick. And so for those that don't know, Kevin Mitnick was a fugitive hacker who at one point was America's most wanted hacker, or the most wanted hacker in the world, I guess. Even though, in my opinion, there's been hacks that have been way more damaging, way more dangerous. Not really sure why Kevin Mitnick made the number one spot, but I guess at the time, which was like in the 90s, he had done some stuff. He hacked some phone companies and got some software that he shouldn't get his hands on. And I think he poked the what did they say? They poked the hornet's nest because he started messing with the FBI.
Oh yeah, I think that's what it is, right? That's why he probably went on their high radar because like the beginning of the movie, it's just that, right? Where he
Yeah.
gets his hand on the system, and I'll let you kind of give more of the details, but what a crafty guy. I mean,
Yes,
it's just like I mean, the actor is obviously reenacting, but I can just envision it, right? It's all persuasive speaking, man.
for sure. Yes, Kevin Mitnick is a master of social engineering, right? Like,
Big time.
literally wrote the book on it. So he's got a few books, and the Art of Deception actually is talks about this movie and how some of it is inaccurate, or in his words, extremely inaccurate. So a lot of the movie was dramatized, and obviously
Yeah.
wanted to make it exciting for the viewers. Like at one point, I don't even know how you say his name, Shimomuru, Shimomura. He was the computer crimes expert that Kevin Mitnick basically got in a feud with. And that guy dedicated his free time to going after Kevin Mitnick. And at one point in the movie, sees him on the street and starts chasing after him. When in reality, I think the two never even met in real life. but to make the movie exciting, they had that scene. So, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting movie. I kind of wanted to just do a movie review, one of many, hopefully on our podcast. And for people that are listening that have never heard of this movie, which wouldn't be surprising because the marketing was absolutely terrible, as we've already talked about the many different names that the movie went by. The spotty like theater release and just the crazy, I think, straight to DVD release. Yeah, I don't even think it went to theaters. I think it went straight to DVD. So that just shows you how good the movie was. But it's
So
crazy
here,
because it had so many I wouldn't say big names, but definitely people you recognize, like Skeet Ulrich, or Ulrich from Scream, right? He was one of the killers in Scream. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Scream in the last 20 years. But it also had Christopher McDonald, which you probably don't know that name, but Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore.
oh yeah, shooter.
Tom Berenger, which was big at one point, and from Sniper and Major League, he was the catcher in Major League. Amanda Peet, the whole nine yards, and some other great movies. And so, yeah, it's just surprising that this kind of got swept under the rug, and no one really talked about it too much. And there was a lot of like lawsuits against it for inaccuracies, and then there was like copyright infringement for some guy wrote a book called The Fugitive Game Online with Kevin Mitnick, and he said that the writers of the movie had stolen pieces of information out of his book. But it's kind of weird. It's like you're writing a biographical movie or script, and you also wrote a biographical book about true events. So how could they plagiarize your book? Because those are true events that you're reporting on.
Yeah.
Like everyone has their version of 9/11. I'm not going to plagiarize your version of 9/11 because we both watched, the World Trade Center. Like, I don't understand how you could plagiarize a real life event, but anyway. So yeah, a little bit of controversy around that, but
So
anyway.
I went down the rabbit hole just now on the name,
Yeah.
right? So here it is. I think I understand what's the issue with the name. All right. So the movie was adapted from a book called Takedown. All right. Now it gets
Got it.
more fun. So Takedown was written by Sotomo Shimomura. All
Yeah.
right.
The guy in the movie that's after him.
The guy in the movie that's after him, and he's the one that, helped the FBI
The
track
true
him
story.
down.
Yeah.
And then it was later adapted for Trackdown. So I guess it's called Trackdown because I don't know, on the Totsumo Shimomura on his wiki it says Trackdown, but then the movie that I started streaming clearly said Takedown.
Yeah. It's both, and I've seen movie posters for both. And by the way, again, back on the marketing, the movie posters are so terrible, even for the 2000s Photoshop experts. It's really bad, really bad.
I'm looking at the one with the green with all three heads, like in the
Yeah.
center, all
They're like
serious.
stretched and like faded out on the edges.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
But I mean, it is a pretty good movie so far. He is an interesting guy, man. Kevin
Yeah.
Mitnick. Right now, he has his own company, I guess.
Yes, correct. And I think he's part owner in other companies as well. But before I know he is involved with the fishing exercise company.
He's part owner of that, and Mitnick Security Consulting. I wonder if we can get Kevin Mitnick on the show one day. If this makes it to Kevin Mitnick, and you're one of our few listeners,
you're welcome.
Help us. Help us do that. What's that power of the 6th degree? Have you heard that?
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation.
6 degrees of separation, right? Let's see if we can get our show to Kevin Mitnick. Kevin Mitnick, we want to interview you. Our listeners, help us get him on here.
Yeah, Kevin Mitnick and I actually crossed paths unknowingly, I guess. Well, and I actually don't even know if Kevin Mitnick was involved, but his company was involved. Long time ago, a company that I used to work for they contact me. I had some friends there. They contacted me and they said that this company had come in and they were being asked to install this antivirus across the entire organization. And so my buddy is the IT admin. He's like, I'd never heard of this antivirus before. And I don't even remember the name now, but he's like, can you look at it? So yeah, he sent me the exe. I pulled
Uh-huh.
it apart and it was just clam AV, like wrapped in something else. And then
Okay,
there was
okay.
also a file in there that was looking for certain files on machines. And so I told him, I was like, hey man, this is yes, this is antivirus, but it's also looking for these files. And so it's really weird, is this sanctioned by the company, or did you get, an email from someone as like a phishing, thing? And he said, no, no, the owners of the company, like this was sanctioned by them. And I was like, okay, well, it's pretty sketchy, like I don't know why you'd wrap clam AV in something
Yeah, yeah.
other than just calling it clam AV. Well, it turns out that I had kind of spoiled a little bit of a insider plot
Oh,
going
that
on.
he had
Yeah, so
that he had
Kevin
like come up
Mitnick's
with.
company had been hired by the owners or the board of that company to come in and find a mole in the company that was like stealing data and like an insider threat that was stealing
Yeah,
data
yeah.
and sending it out to a competitor. And so the goal was to install this AV, but also look for those files that had gone missing or that they had known were stolen. And so they could identify who the insider threat was. And so I kind of spoiled that a little bit for him.
I
Because
see.
once I told them what was going on at that file, then word spread around and they didn't install it. So anyway, sorry, Kevin
Dang.
Mitnick and team.
Now I'm extra paranoid. Now we need to go open up our AV and see what's really in there.
But yeah, Kevin Mitnick's a super interesting character. I mean, his book, he has multiple books, and he's definitely the master of social engineering, which you'll see in that movie. At one point he calls an office trying to get some information or trying to get some documents, and so he pretends to be someone else from corporate and he says, hey, Frank, I'm going to have a guy stop by to pick up some pages for me. If you could have him ready for him when he gets there, that'd be great. And then Kevin Mitnick shows up and he's like, hey, I'm so and so from whatever, Bob told me that to talk to Frank, said Frank would have some papers for me to carry back to him. And the guy's like, do you work for me? He's like, no, I'm just a friend. I was in the area. Bob told me to, come by and pick up the papers. He's like, I don't even know what you guys do. He's like, but I'm just gonna give this to Bob. And so Frank hands him the papers, and then Kevin Mitnick gets the information he wanted. But it was like all
That's
this
great.
clever ruse,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
steal
It's
information. He does it multiple times throughout the movie, which I really enjoyed. That was probably the most realistic piece of it, was the fact that he uses payphones and all these different tricks to get information out of people. A lot of these hacker movies, I'm sure you've seen, right? They're not as realistic.
there. I mean, some, yeah, of course, they stretch him a little bit. It's like they just go like this. I'm in.
Right. Or like the dual keyboard scene from NCIS where there are two people typing on one keyboard.
Are you serious? That's so funny.
But
They're
yeah, I mean,
playing.
like movies like Hackers, which is entertaining and obviously one of my favorites. We don't really fly through cyberspace, and we definitely don't have cool headgear like Zero Cool at the end of the movie, which I don't even know what that headgear does.
But
But
it's
so this
that
one was
movie.
more on the realistic side, which is awesome. So I definitely recommend it if you're in the information security world and need something fun to watch. And you don't know much about Kevin Mitnick or you haven't seen this movie, definitely worth a watch. So
I
what
mean,
should we give
yeah.
it? Like 3 popcorns?
I,
Three
I
out of
mean,
five?
so far I'm into it for sure. So far I'm liking it. And especially it has like that older, 80s, 90s film vibe to it, which I
Oh yeah.
enjoy over
I
like
mean, it
the
was
new
filmed in 2000, so it's
stuff.
21 years old.
So, yeah, dang, 2000 is 21 years ago. Oh my
I know, man.
God, ouch. Ouch. But check this out. So I was reading more about this Kevin Mitnick gentleman. Age 12, he started social engineering. Age 12, man.
I mean,
He's
I'm
been
not
at it.
surprised. The first thing that kids and dogs learn how to do is lie.
Yeah,
So
just get around it.
they lie to get food.
Look, he says he asked a bus driver tell him where he could get his own, ticket puncher because it's a school project to use a school project. And then he goes to the bus place, finds all these like bags of old discarded tickets that were like half used or whatever. He gets them and punches them himself, and he's just like riding out of town free all day. He's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of hacking. You remember that scene in the original like Star Wars films where they get to the gate and the Star Troopers there? He's like, "You will let us pass." And he's
Yeah.
like, "All right, you can go." Something
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure. I mean, he's a master manipulator, right? And I definitely encourage anybody listening to read his books. He's got Art of Deception, Art of Intrusion, and I guess Art of Invisibility, which I haven't read, but and then another one, Ghost in the Wires. So Ghost in the Wires, I got on Audible in case you have some Audible fans out there. I'm sure the other ones are on Audible too, but um, definitely worth the read, man.
So what
He's a
else? This
smart
guy,
cat.
he is. So what? I mean, I'm just this list of his stuff just is endless. It's intense. Did something on Yahoo, right?
On Yahoo. I don't remember that one.
No, it says in '97, Yahoo website was hacked, displaying a message calling for Mitnick's release.
Oh yeah, but he didn't do it. He was in jail at
No,
that
he
time.
didn't do it. That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome,
free
man.
Kevin, those bumper stickers. I used to have one of
To
those.
the entire internet. That's pretty awesome. Yahoo says they claimed it as a hoax. Dude, he was charged with 14 counts of wire fraud, 8 counts of possession of unauthorized access devices. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, him and Kevin Poulsen were really, we talked about Kevin Poulsen
Yeah, we
on a
did.
previous podcast, but I mean, just their abilities to manipulate phone systems and people are, stuff of legend. Obviously, that's why we still talk about him today. So
See, look, he did all of that. He got 46 months in prison plus 22 months. But I wonder, does it say how long? Oh, he was released in January of 21, 2000.
yeah, I think you're skipping over one of the important pieces, though.
Which one?
He spent 4.5 years in prison without a trial,
Oh, no kidding.
and 8 months of that was in solitary confinement.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lot. Why?
Yeah.
Why'd they put him in confinement? That's pretty intense.
So they
You-
put him in confinement because law enforcement officials had convinced the judge that he had the ability to whistle in, like, if he was to get on a payphone, he could whistle through the phone and cause a nuclear war. That's how afraid of them he was, which is kind of like a story based on Bubbles, which we had talked about previously too, or Captain Crunch, um, the phone freaker that could whistle the 2600 tone. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know that Kevin Mitnick had that ability, the same as John Draper or Bubbles, that he could whistle the tone into the phone. But that was basically why they put him in solitary confinement. He had no access to like computer to research for his own trial or anything like that. Just crazy that he was in jail for 4.5 years
That is
before
intense.
actually getting a trial. And then he was basically got released based on time served. So he'd already done his time by the time they convicted him. And then I think he got 3 years probation, if I'm not mistaken. So
You know what probably happened? Some FBI guy went in there and was like, "Hey, you want to get out of here today?
you cut him a
Yes
deal.
or no?" You know? He's like, "Yep, I sure do." He's like, "All right, you got 4 year sentence. We charge you 44 months. Have a good day, and do X, Y, and Z for us." But
Oh, I
I
just read
wonder if
this too. Under his
oh,
plea deal, Mitnick was prohibited from profiting from films or books based on his criminal activity for 7 years under the special judicial Son of Sam law. So no coincidence that this movie came out the same year that he was released.
oh
So he
man,
didn't get any money.
that sucks. Totsuma Shimomura threw him under the bus. Well, I wonder who has more money now.
I think Mitnick does all right. So
Yeah,
I mean,
think
he
so.
was like on those what's that one? LifeLock. He was on those LifeLock commercials.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where the guy was like, "Hey, can you find information about me?" And Kevin Mitnick gets on the internet and does a bunch of open source intelligence, like OSINT, to get the guy's information. And everyone's amazed in the crowd. And you're like, "This is why you need LifeLock."
Well, from
So,
the guy who brought you the good public announcement for LifeLock, he also had a book. Of course, it's called The Art of Deception. I kind of want to read it.
yep, I got it sitting on my shelf right here.
Oh, have you read the whole thing?
Yep. Yeah, I read Art of Deception, Art of what's the other one? Intrusion, and then Ghost in the Wires. I have not read Art of Invisibility, which I guess was out in 2017.
Yeah, dude, I want to get this. The Art of Deception, controlling the human element of security. That's fantastic. That sounds intriguing as heck, man.
Yeah, there's another one too. Gosh, what is that guy's name? I totally went blank. The social engineering guy.
Which one? The phone
The
freak?
main guy that runs like the social engineering village at DEF CON and stuff like that. I can see his face, but I cannot think of his name. Anyway, those books are both really good. Kevin Mitnick and Christopher Hadnagy. And it's just called Social Engineering, The Art of Human Hacking.
Well, Kevin Mitnick, he's an interesting guy. I would like to see him on the show. That'd be nice. Ask him some questions. Be like, what really happened?
Be great.
You know. I wonder, has he done any interviews? I'm sure he may have.
Yeah, definitely. I think Kevin Poulsen actually did an interview with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think they're friends, but they also, Kevin Poulsen's a journalist, so I think he interviewed him after the fact and kind of got his side of the story. So, and there's a whole book on his side of the story as well, which was that one book, the author that had sued. It was The Fugitive Game Online with Kevin Mitnick by Jonathan Littman.
Okay.
That book is all about Kevin Mitnick's side of the story. So.
Oh, cool. Yep. What is it called again?
The Fugitive Game Online with Kevin Mitnick. It came out 1996.
I wonder if it gives any like background into his like other because like he has some other names, his aliases. Do you know what his aliases are? The Condor.
That's the only one I know. Is there more?
Yeah, there's another one, the Darkside Hacker.
Oh.
Where did they come up with the Condor? That's so funny.
I think there's an old spy book or movie called The Flight of the Condor, which is probably related to that, I'm sure.
The Condor is pretty like, it's a bad bird, you know. It's kind of like a vulture-esque, is it not?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it just looks evil.
So, but yeah, I think we pretty much covered a little bit of a hacker history on Kevin Mitnick. Not really a whole lot more we can cover there, I think. So this was kind of a movie review / hacker history. There you go.
There you go. There's a first of its kind, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first.
I think we should do more movie reviews, though.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm actually down to do a follow-up movie review on this movie once I finish the whole thing.
All right, we could do that.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll bring you part 2 to be continued on Kevin Mitnick.
We'll mix it in with another movie review. How about that?
Okay, yeah, we could do 2. We'll just do movie. We'll do movie review Mondays.
Oh yeah, we can do that. The next one, what movie do you want to do next?
I don't know. Hackers.
We could do Hackers. I love Hackers. Could watch that movie any day of the week.
Okay, Hackers it is. Hackers right. and
that plays nicely into this since this was supposed to be Hackers 2.
Oh, really? Would it be a good follow-up, you think?
Yeah, I mean, this movie was the name was supposed to be Hackers 2, but I don't know, they changed it for some reason. Well, for good reason, because it's nothing like the original movie. So.
Well, all right. We'll bring you guys some good, more fun cybersecurity entertainment. I guess until next time.